Love doesn't always kill, but when it doesn't come quietly. It shatters routines, destroys futures, turns intimacy into aftermath. These aren't just murders, they're emotional implosions, fueled by jealousy, framed by betrayal, and detonated by people who mistook possession for affection. Some crimes exploded in a single moment, others simmered for months. A few were silent until the final blow. Welcome to Grim Vault, where obsession wears disguises and danger often sleeps beside you. In these 20 real cases, love was the reason, but never the excuse. Behind wedding rings, text messages, and bedroom doors were motives. And for many victims, the person they trusted most became their executioner. Before we begin, ask yourself, how far would you go for love? 1. Diane Zamora and David Graham. They were the golden couple, sharp uniforms, sharp minds, and a future carved in medals and military service. But behind closed doors, David Graham and Diane Zamora weren't in love, they were locked in a dangerous delusion. When David admitted to sleeping with a 16-year-old teammate, Adrienne Jones, Diane didn't break down. She issued a command. In her world, loyalty demanded blood. They lured Andrea into a car. She thought it was a ride home. It was an ambush. On a deserted Texas road, David pulled the trigger, while Diane sat cold and watching. The next day, they showed up to school in uniform, faces calm, futures intact. But guilt doesn't disappear under brass buttons. It festers. When the truth emerged, it didn't just expose a murder. It shattered 2 families, ruined 2 lives, and left 1 innocent girl dead for the crime of being chosen, then discarded. 2. Stephanie Lazarus. The LAPD love triangle. Sherry Rasmussen was thriving, married, confident, and unaware she was being watched. But in 1986 Los Angeles, safety was a lie. Her killer wasn't a stranger, she wore a badge and carried a broken heart. Stephanie Lazarus had once dated Sherry's husband. She never let go, and when the wedding happened without her, she didn't move on. She plotted. One February morning, Sherry was beaten, then shot inside her own home. The scene was staged to look like a robbery, but it was too perfect, too professional. For 23 years, the case lay cold until a single bite mark told the real story. DNA revealed the killer was one of LAPD's own. Stephanie had used her training to mask a murder, and her uniform to hide in plain sight. But justice came anyway, not because the evidence was loud, but because one investigator refused to blink. 3. Clottemans, the parachute murder. 13,000 feet above Belgium. 3 skydivers jumped, only 2 survived. 1 woman fell through open air, without a working parachute, without a chance. Els Clottemans and Els Van Doren shared a name, a hobby, and a man. But jealousy is silent. Until it isn't. During a routine group dive, Van Doren's main parachute failed. Her reserve also tampered with. She plummeted while friends watched, helpless. Investigators found no accident, just sabotage, and one person with motive, access, and bitterness hidden beneath a friendly smile. This wasn't an emotional outburst. It was quiet, deliberate murder at terminal velocity. 4. Carla Hughes, educator turned killer. Carla Hughes was the trusted teacher, the polished professional, the woman parents praised. But behind the lesson plans was a double life fueled by obsession. She was in love with Keon Pittman. He was engaged. His fiancée, Avis Banks, was pregnant. That didn't stop Carla. It only gave her a target. One night, she waited near Avis's home, armed and ready. When Avis stepped out of her car, Carla attacked. 5 gunshots, no mercy. The next day, she returned to her classroom, smiling. But guilt has a way of leaking through even the brightest masks. She didn't just kill a woman. She tried to rewrite the future, but her version began in blood and ended in prison. 5. Rachel Wade, teenage rivalry turns deadly. What began as digital drama escalated into real-world bloodshed between two teenagers spiraling toward tragedy. Rachel Wade and Sarah Ludeman were locked in a toxic rivalry fueled by social media, fueled by pride. No one stepped in, not parents, not police. One night, Sarah showed up to confront Rachel. What she didn't know was that Rachel was already waiting, armed with a kitchen knife. The fight was short. A scream, a stab. Sarah collapsed under the streetlight. He never made it to graduation. The boy disappeared into obscurity, and a community was left asking why no one stopped the spiral. 6. Nicole Abu Sharif, the lesbian love triangle. Nicole wasn't just planning to leave, she was already constructing her exit. A new lover, a new story, and one chilling decision. In 2007, Rebecca was found in the trunk of her own car, bound, suffocated, discarded like a secret. Her girlfriend Nicole played the part of the grieving partner. But behind closed doors, Nicole was emailing her new flame. She wasn't just unfaithful, she was planning freedom, one keystroke at a time. She wanted out, so she killed what tied her down. Nicole didn't ghost the relationship, she ghosted a body. 7. Sabrina Limon, a deadly affair. Sabrina Limon wasn't content with quiet suburbia. She wanted romance, escape, a new life with her younger lover, Jonathan Hearn. They prayed about it. They plotted, first with poison, then with a gun. In 2014, Sabrina's husband, Robert Limon, was ambushed at work, shot in cold blood inside a remote railroad yard. Sabrina played the widow. Jonathan vanished into the background. But texts told the truth. They believed God would forgive them. But detectives weren't in the business of grace. They were in the business of truth, and they found it. 8. Brendan Banfield, the Virginia double homicide. Brendan Banfield wore two faces. In public, he was a husband and father. Online, he was a predator, using fetish sites to lure strangers into dangerous fantasies. In 2024, police uncovered a web of lies, murder, and manipulation. His wife was found dead. A second man, lured online, was found murdered on camera. A Brazilian au pair was tangled in the middle. Some called her a pawn, others a co-conspirator. Banfield's browser history became a crime scene. 2 lives ended, 1 woman vanished. The screen he used to hide behind became his confession. 9. Mary Jo Bailey, the cold case lover. For almost 40 years, Yvonne Menke's murder sat forgotten in a Wisconsin file. No arrests, no explanations, just decades of quiet. Until 2024, when DNA evidence pulled an unexpected name from the grave. Mary Jo Bailey, age 81. A church-going grandmother with no criminal past. On the surface. But in 1985, she believed Yvonne was stealing the man she loved. So she pulled the trigger. Then she baked pies, went to church, raised children. Didn't run. She just waited for the world to forget. But science doesn't forget. And justice showed up, decades late but right on time. 10. Miss Riganka Barman, a celebrity love tragedy. In 2025, rising TV star Miss Riganka Barman was poised for stardom in Assam. Fans saw charm, talent, a bright future. What they didn't see was the jealousy building off camera. A love triangle spiraled into rage, and in one apartment, it ended in blood. Riganka was stabbed to death, his final act played out in silence. He didn't die in front of an audience, but he died because someone refused to let go of the script they'd written in their head. Fame brings light, but in his case, it also cast the shadow that ended him. 11. Clara Harris, caught on camera. She didn't scream, she steered. Clara Harris didn't shout. She got behind the wheel. Her husband's affair wasn't a suspicion anymore. She followed him to a hotel in Houston. There, he embraced another woman. Clara saw it. And then she made a decision. She drove her Mercedes straight into him, then circled back. And again, 3 times in all. What she didn't know? Her private investigator, hired to catch her husband cheating, was in another car, camera rolling. Love didn't unravel that night. It detonated, and the lens caught every crushing second. 12. Colleen Campbell, a descent everyone saw coming. Colleen Campbell didn't snap, she planned. Just days after being arrested for a hammer attack, her ex-husband was found tortured, his body mutilated, his home turned into a stage of rage. This wasn't a crime of passion, it was a descent everyone saw coming and no one stopped. Police missed the signs, the system looked away. By the time the warnings were recognized, Colleen's fury had already written its ending. In blood. 13. Nirmeen Nuflil, dismemberment in Sydney. Nirmeen Nufel was a mother of 8. In public, she cooked, cleaned, prayed, but in private, she was executing a plan that one so cold and methodical, it stunned even seasoned detectives. In 2023, police in Sydney uncovered black garbage bags scattered around a property. Inside were human remains. Her husband, Mamdou Nufal, had been missing for months. It wasn't a messy killing. It was clinical. She used knives, a power saw, and chilling patience. Then, she assumed his identity. She sent text messages from his phone. She updated his social media. She flew overseas and sold off his property. She didn't just dispose of a body, she dismantled a life, digitally and physically. When caught, Nirmeen claimed she heard angels. Some saw madness, others saw calculation. Either way, it wasn't a single act of rage. It was a vanishing act, performed over weeks, rehearsed with precision, and played until the final bag was sealed. 14. Lisa Lines, academic's murder plot. Dr. Lisa Lines was a respected historian, an academic mind trained in the strategies of war. But when her personal life collapsed, she didn't react with heartbreak, she reacted with tactics. Between 2017 and 2023, police allege Lisa constructed a campaign of psychological warfare against her ex-partner and even targeted his mother. She filed false accusations, manipulated testimonies, staged threatening situations, and built her case like a dissertation, piece by piece, footnote by footnote. This wasn't an emotional outburst. It was a blueprint. A calculated chain of moves designed to ruin reputations, distort reality, and win a war only she believed she was fighting. But investigators noticed a pattern. The same language, the same setups, the same fingerprints of control. Lisa didn't lose her mind, she weaponized it. And in the end, her strategy of academic revenge was her undoing. 15. René Macrae, Scotland's cold case. In 1976, René Macrae and her 3-year-old son vanished into the Scottish Highlands. Her car was found later, engulfed in flames beside a quiet road. Inside, a bloodstain, a child's blanket, but no bodies. The silence that followed lasted almost 50 years. For decades, Scotland whispered theories. Was it an abduction, a family escape, or something darker? The answer finally arrived in 2022, wrapped in forensics and persistence. William McDowell, Renée's secret lover and the father of her child, had killed them both to keep his double life intact. It wasn't just murder, it was erasure, one designed to leave no trace, no scandal, no inheritance claim. But secrets age poorly, and eventually even decades-old lies crack open. Renée and her child never got justice in their lifetime, but the truth outlived the killer. 16. Caitlin Armstrong, the fugitive yoga instructor. Caitlin Armstrong taught peace, inner balance, mindfulness. But when her world tilted off-center, she didn't find her breath, she pulled a trigger. In 2022, Caitlin learned her boyfriend had been secretly seeing professional cyclist Anna Moriah Wilson. Days later, Anna was found dead in an Austin apartment. 3 clean shots to the body, no signs of struggle. Police suspected Armstrong almost immediately, but by the time the arrest warrant was issued, she was gone. She ditched her phone, sold her Jeep, crossed into Costa Rica, changed her identity, and even altered her face with plastic surgery. For 43 days, she was a ghost in paradise, but fugitives always leave shadows. Her calm persona, perfected through yoga practice, hid something far more volatile. Caitlin hadn't mastered peace. She'd mastered performance, and when that crumbled, so did her freedom. 17. Cherie Miller. The online affair turned deadly. Cherie Miller never pulled the trigger. She never had to. In 1999, she met Jerry Cassidy in an online chat room. A former cop, he was lonely and disillusioned. Cherie gave him attention and fiction. She told Jerry her husband was abusive, controlling, dangerous. She told him she needed saving. Jerry listened, and when she said her husband had to go, he believed it was love. He crossed state lines, broke into Bruce Miller's business, and pulled the trigger. Weeks later, Jerry took his own life. His suicide note unraveled everything, a digital breadcrumb trail of manipulation and lies. Cherie had used romance like a weapon. From behind a keyboard, she orchestrated a murder and broke 2 men. One died by bullet, the other by heartbreak. She never touched a gun, but every word she typed was loaded. 18. Michelle and Lisa Taylor, the Shaughnessy murder. In 1991 London, Alison Shaughnessy had everything to live for, a new marriage, a new home, and a future finally unfolding. But someone else believed that future belonged to her. Michelle Taylor was her husband's ex, still obsessed, still watching. She brought her sister Lisa into the spiral. One night, the sisters broke into Alison's flat. What followed was brutal. 54 stab wounds, each more violent than the last. It wasn't just a killing, it was a purge. The motive? Jealousy and entitlement, disguised as heartbreak. Michelle had convinced herself that Alison had stolen something, but love isn't a possession. In the end, it took 2 women to destroy one. A shared obsession sealed in blood. Alison never stood a chance. 20. Eric Thompson, the Honolulu love triangle murder. John Tokuhara was known for healing, an acupuncturist beloved in his Honolulu community. But healing doesn't protect you from betrayal. In 2022, he was having an affair with a married woman. Her husband, Eric Thompson, found out, but instead of confrontation, he chose precision. Security cameras captured Thompson entering John's clinic. Moments later, John was dead, multiple shots delivered with calm intent. It wasn't a heat-of-the-moment decision. The trial revealed months of building rage, surveillance, planning. Thompson didn't just want revenge, he wanted silence. But cameras don't lie. They tell the story that alibis can't. And in the middle of paradise, a man was hunted, not by a stranger, but by a husband-turned-executioner. Love is supposed to comfort, to bind, to reveal our better selves. But in these 20 cases, it did the opposite. It masked manipulation, it justified violence, it gave people permission to destroy. Some snapped, others planned. A few believed they were saving someone or saving themselves. What's left behind isn't just grief. It's a map of warning signs. We call them love triangles, but they're really smoke signals. Each story began with love and ended in ruin. This is Grim Vault, where true crime isn't just told, it's unearthed.